We have another speaker for this session, and we would welcome Dr. Nasir Ahmad. And his title of the Quran translation is Commentary on Al-Quran, Brief Introductory Comments on Verses from Surah Al-Fatiha to Surah Al-Nas from the teaching and commentary of Imam W.D. Muhammed. And his presentation title is Surah 95, Commentary of Imam W.D. Muhammad, translation of the Quran. So let me give you a brief introduction of Dr. Nasir Ahmad. He's a distinguished individual who has made significant contributions in the field of oral and maxillofacial surgery and Islamic leadership. Born in Chicago, Illinois, he grew up as the second son among 15 siblings, instilling in him values of resilience and dedication. So Dr. Nasir pursued his education at Chicago and then followed by Miami Dade Community College in Florida. And in 1986, he obtained his bachelor's degree from Florida Memorial College, and his passion for knowledge led him to Meharry Medical College School of Dentistry in Nashville, Tennessee, where he earned his dental degree in 1990. Driven by excellence, he further specialized in oral and maxillofacial surgery at Meharry Medical College. And beyond his medical career, Dr. Nasir actively engaged in religious activities. He serves as the resident Imam of Masjid Ansar in Miami, Florida, and has been the director of school since November 1977. And he has closely worked with the late Imam W.D. Muhammad, the renowned African-American theologian and leader in Islamic education. He has a deep commitment to community development. Dr. Nasir has been instrumental in establishing several mosques in the Chicagoland area. He has also held notable positions, including Assistant Regional Imam for the Southeast United States and Coordinator of State Imams in Florida. And he's a sought-after lecturer, captivating audiences with thought-provoking discussions of religious and health. And outside his professional endeavors, he's a doting father and has a family of 5 sons and 5 daughters. Mashallah, Dr. Nasir's journey exemplifies the power of education, faith, and community service. His unwavering dedication and significant contributions have made him an influential figure with the United States of America internationally. So over to you, Dr. Ahmad, and you have 10 minutes for our presentation so that we will move to our question answers, inshallah. Let's have your presentation. Thank you.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. With the name of Allah, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, all praises are due to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of all of the worlds. We thank him for his final message of the Qur'an, the religion of Islam, and for our prophet, his messenger, sent to all of humanity. We wish to also thank the organizers of this Quran conference for the effort being made to translate the Quran into the best of languages, in particular the English language. And my thanks to Imam Dr. Talib Sharif, our sister Fitra Muhammad, and our coordinator, Sister Nihat. We know language as the body is born in the stomach or the womb of the woman, the mind of man is born also in a womb, and the womb for the mind is language. And so we have this great effort to translate the Quran, which is in Arabic only, not in English, not in French or German. And there's a difficulty in getting the exact translation as humanly possible. So I am appreciative of the scholars that I heard that presented before me, and I have been given great energy from their efforts. We begin with the name of Allah. In Imam Muhammad's, W.D. Muhammad's community, He did not use in the name of Allah, he used with the name of Allah. In Arabic is fi, is the preposition fi. And in the Quran, the Arabic begins with the preposition be, which means with the name of Allah and not in the name of Allah. And this protects us from having images of God in the male image. So we have this great translation in an effort to keep the purity of the Quran and the purity of Allah. So we begin with the name of Allah, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. And every chapter of the Quran begins with Bismillah, with the name of Allah, except the 9th chapter. And the 9th chapter does not have it because every human being is born in the 9th month in the womb of his mother, and he's born with the name of Allah. He comes in the world with the name of Allah. We have in the Quran where it says, Al-Kitabu minhu ayatun muhkamatun hunna ummul kitabi wa ukhra mutashabihat. Translated, it says, and this book, the Quran, in it are verses that are logical or basic. They are the mother of the book or the foundation of the book, and other verses or other interpretation may be allegorical. So each verse in the Quran is basic, fundamental, and it is also allegorical. This is the 3rd chapter of the Quran, verse 7, where we pick this up. Also, it says, "Alladhina yastami'una al-qawla fayattabi'una ahsanahu." And it says, and those who listen to the word, then they follow the best thereof, the best interpretation, the best meaning, and etc. So now, I'm going to begin with some concepts from Surah At-Tin, chapter 95 of the Quran. Wat-tini wa zaytun wa turi sinin. And the fig represents a simple grouping where the seeds are scattered and the essence of the fig is not centered. You know, the fig is easily chewed. We have the fig and the olive, and it talks about Mount Sinai, and then it goes to the city. Wat-tini wa zaytun wa turi sinin wa hadha al-baladil amin. These are stages of community development. These seeds are grouped together and they do not form any kind of real pattern except for a circle. And at that stage in human development, the consciousness is that of a fig, meaning it has no elaborate ideas, no order, no complex order of how its life should be, much like the small baby, the small child. And so this is why we group together, to get the basic benefits from each other. Then, after man groups, he begins to plan how best to survive as a group. So now, with this understanding, we could go back now to what we have in the Quran with regards to some instances where there's confusion in some cases of the translation, selecting the most appropriate words. And the verse in case in point that I'm talking about is the verse that has been translated, "O you who believe, do not take the Jews and the Christians as friends." Now, the Arabic word is aliyah. It's from the root word wali. Wali is not the best translation for the word in English, friend. The better word for friend is sadiq, or you could use rafiq, which means companion, which would be more appropriate. So awliya is the plural form of what has been translated as friends, but that's not what it means. Wali means a patron, protector, Like a woman, when she's getting ready to get married, she's not allowed to be married unless she has a wali. Wali in this case does not mean unless she has a friend. It means that she has a guardian protector. Yes, there was a little noise in the background, so I kind of stopped. Now, so the woman, she is to have a wali. This is not a friend. This is a protector, a husband, a brother, a son, an uncle, a male that has her best interest at heart. So what this verse is saying is that every people has its own motivation. Every people has its own concern. And the Muslims recognize Muslims' concern, and we are not to trust our religious matters to a people outside of our religion. That's really what it is saying. And you'll know in the Quran, it tells us that the Jews are to judge by the Torah, and the Christians are to judge by the Torah. So therefore, the Christians would have their closest interest in their heart would be Christian concerns. So it really means that the Muslim is not to allow a Christian and a Jew to manage his religious affairs, to manage his rituals. And likewise, we are not to try to manage the Christian's rituals and the Christian's affairs. So that has nothing to do with friendship. We can be friends, but this is talking about those who would be trying to manage the religious rituals of a given community. So I just wanted to kind of use that so we can get an understanding basically of what it is talking about. So the fig, going back to the fig, is the first development of the order of religious people. And the fig means that these people are dependent upon their ability just to merely adhere or just merely to stick together. Now, this is a natural stage of development for the human being. Now, if this stage is tampered with and the masses are left under oppressive bosses, then they are denied the ability of rational insight. If you get higher education, that will be when you are left free to evolve. So the fig is talking about the first development of the human being, and the olive is talking about a second stage of development or social consciousness for the human being. So the fig represents the mind as God made it, meaning it has not yet evolved to the place that God has intended for it. So this connection with the fig and that of the order of religion represents a fig because it does not reach the rational state. It is in its first state or its baby state. No disrespect, but that's just exactly what it is. In the chronological development of the human civilization. Then we come to the olive, and you notice the olive is of development where the seed of the olive is one. It's not many seeds. And it means its essence is centered. It's not scattered all over the place. So the fig, first when we see it, is in abstract knowledge, in vague concepts. And as man keeps struggling, the knowledge begins to evolve and it comes together in higher concepts of a deeper insight. And we see knowledge on a much more developed plane in a greater rational structure. Now, going back to another concept that we had that's a little bit difficult in terms of its translation that came up in the earlier discussion. It's about beat the women lightly. Now, as we said earlier, the Quran is basic, logical, and allegorical. These are the two applications of any verse in the Quran. According to the Quran itself, Quran bil Quran means the Quran will define itself. Now, this word daraba, it means to strike Yes, it means to strike, like a person would strike another person with the hand or the fist. But it also means strike and to correct the person. Daraba means to correct the person, to argue points. The rule for understanding the Quran is that every verse has two applications: basic, logic, and allegory. So it means in the better understanding, it means to strike their conscience, remind them. Why do we say that? The verses of the Quran are demonstrated by Muhammad the prophet, and he demonstrated never putting his hand on a woman, be it his mother, be it his wife, his daughter, cousins, etc., his maids. He never put a hand on them. So that suggests to us that the second application should come into play, and that is, it is talking about strike the conscience, remind them. Because our dear prophet never demonstrated any physical abuse to any woman. So we have these helps for us in the Quran and also in the life of Muhammad the prophet, peace be on him. And we only have 10 minutes. We want to respect the time that it's on all of us. And hopefully sometime in the future, we can have a little more time where we can go into a little more depth of understanding. So I say to you, thank you so very much for those who have organized this, and may Allah bless us in the wonderful effort to have a universal translation of the Quran, which respects all human beings and does not exclude anybody from their inherent dignity that Allah has created each and every person with in humanity. And again, our religion, it says, Rabbil Alameen, which means the Lord of all of the worlds, or all of the universes, or all of the people. And it is addressing something that came before, where scripture before the Quran said that God is the Lord of one particular people. The Quran does not accept that. We cannot have a translation that will be exclusive to humanity. It has to be inclusive for all of humanity. And it says, Laqad haramna Bani Adam, and we have created all of the children of Adam, male and female, in the most excellent way, with nobility and honor by virtue of their creation. So thank you. May Allah bless the organizers and the translators with more universal language that is inclusive. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.